Welcome to the channel, guys. Got a real surprise for you these days, and it's a Dodge Challenger RT. I've absolutely always adored these because I am a bit of a fan of an American muscle car, and I think when it comes to modern muscle cars, I think the Dodge Challenger is the only true modern muscle car on the market. Not to insult any Mustang owners, but having owned a couple of Mustangs, I always considered the Mustang more a sports muscle car rather than a all-out muscle car, and likewise for the Camaro as well. I think it's more of a sports muscle car. And don't get me wrong, the Mustang and the Camaro are amazing. They drive incredible and they actually handle really quite nice as well. But when it comes to a true muscle car, I think the Challenger is the easy winner personally. And I'm just going to do you a walk around of this car. It's obviously it's an RT, so that's got 375 horsepower from a 5.7 litre V8. It's a HEMI, which is a hemispherical V8. When these engines were originally designed in the 1939, it was a V16 engine which was going into fighter aircraft and tanks for World War II. And the advantage of the Hemi fire engine back in the day, the first engine was 1951 for a road car, but what made it so impressive that it actually produced 180 horsepower from 5.4 litres, which by modern car standards may not sound a lot, but back in 1951, 180 horsepower was really impressive. And obviously, with it being a hemispherical engine, you have half moon spheres in the air intake, which obviously give you increased compression and bigger valves, which basically results in more airflow and a truly amazing sound. And that's why these cars made so much power back in the day. Hemi doesn't really have that advantage anymore. Obviously, you've got modern engines with multi-valve technology, etc., have now really gone beyond what a Hemi can actually do. But the Hemi still has the trademark amazing sound. And I believe from about 2009 onwards, these engines became pretty bulletproof. I mean, I think they can still suffer things like the Hemi tick, but generally they are a bulletproof engine. The real only downsides of a Hemi is that the valve trains are very complex and quite expensive, just simply due to the size of the valves. But I mean, just look at it. This is sublime green, which I think is the colour to have if you're buying a Challenger. You're never going to lose it in a car park, that's for sure. It looks absolutely sensational. I mean, yes, this is a big car. In 1964, you got the 426 cubic inch motor, which had 400 plus horsepower from a 7 litre. So they were still making really impressive horsepower figures right up to about the 1970s, really, which is obviously when other engines came along and started to really, compete with Hemi. But for me, if I wanted to buy a true muscle car, the RT is really the one to go for me, because obviously you've got the Scat Pack, which is a 425 to 450 horsepower with some handling tweaks, and obviously that car's faster. And then you've got the truly incredible Challengers, the Hellcat and the Demon. Now the Demon's more of a full-on drag car, which is really a straight line weapon. The Hellcat is more a bit of balance of insane straight line performance and of course some handling balance. But let's not beat around the bush, guys. The Challenger is not renowned for its handling prowess. This is a true muscle car. It's a straight line car. It's an enjoy it and cruise car, and the soundtrack is to die for. The soundtrack that a Hemi makes, whether it's coming from the intake or the exhaust, is just truly sensational. I say this engine has the 5.7 litre, and you've got 375 horsepower with 410 foot-pounds of torque. And that 410 foot-pounds of torque feels like it's literally all available from tickover. This car has that much torque that even pulling out of a junction in today's greasy road conditions, it is not the easiest. If you're ever so slightly heavy with the throttle, or you have the car in sports mode, you will literally light those back tyres up without even trying. But in saying that, the car has a beautiful progression when it lets go. I think, obviously not my car, so it's not been given any kind of crazy heavy foot. It's been gently driven, but even just gently pulling from a junction with just say moderate throttle application, it lights the tires up and it wants to go sideways. But it's beautifully progressive. I think you'd have to do something crazy to get caught out. And the reason it's so progressive is it's a very long wheelbase car. Because yes, this car is absolutely massive. I mean, on a UK road, you've got to be careful, especially if you're on a B road. But on typical A roads, it's beautiful. The ride comfort is sensational. But the great thing about it is it rides beautifully in a straight line. It is such a comfortable car, but it's not completely devoid of handling. As soon as you turn a corner, go around a roundabout, the car does remain quite flat and composed. Don't get me wrong, you're not going to be trying to break any handling records in this or doing any crazy track days, but it's a great fun car. And obviously this is the lowest power challenger, being the RT with 375 horsepower. But honestly, here in the UK, do you need a scat pack? Do you need a Hellcat? No, I really don't think you do. If you want to buy one of these to cruise in, this car is absolutely peachy. It's just lovely. I mean, in these damp cold conditions today, it does want to light those back tyres up. Even in third and fourth gear, if you try to go full throttle in third and fourth gear from a roll, it'll just light them up. So you've got to have maximum respect for this kind of car. But at the same time, the car is a huge, huge amount of fun to drive, even at low speeds. You don't need to drive this car fast to enjoy it. And those of you who are regulars on my channel will know I'm a huge advocate of cars that are fun within the speed limit. And the Dodge Challenger is definitely an 11 out of 10 for fun within speed limits. This car, even just driving along at 30 mile an hour, has you laughing and giggling like a child on Christmas morning. It is a car that just invokes happiness. Maybe the happiness will quickly fall off a cliff when you realize you have to stop at petrol stations regularly and often, because obviously this car does drink petrol. You're going to struggle to see probably 20 miles to the gallon in typical use. On a run, it will do better because obviously it does have cylinder deactivation. So when you're not in sports mode and you're just cruising along in top gear, then obviously the car is going to be relatively somewhat more economical. I would estimate you might just pull 30 miles to the gallon. But this one is an 8-speed auto. I'm normally an advocate of manuals, but I would highly recommend the 8-speed auto. It's a ZF8 gearbox, so it's got a modern gearbox in it. And that gearbox works beautifully whether you're in full auto, where the shifts are instant and very well judged. And if you do put the car in manual mode on the paddles, though the shifts are not instantaneous to when you pull the paddle, they are perfectly quick enough. It's not at a point where you're like, I wish my gears were changing gear faster. It's acceptable, because I wouldn't say this is the kind of car that you're going to be on a track or going down a narrow British B road and revving it to the limit and trying to change up gear as quickly as possible. It's simply not that kind of car. But the gearbox is very good. I must admit, I'm surprised how good the gearbox is. I think this gearbox does a better job than the 10-speed gearbox in the modern Mustang. I really didn't get along with that gearbox at all. Felt like it couldn't make its mind up what to do in automatic mode. It was just shifting gears all over the place. And then on the paddles, though, yes, it was responsive and quick, it just didn't seem to work that well in the Mustang. So in a Mustang, I'd always be an advocate of get the manual, but in the Challenger, get the 8-speed automatic. It works so well. I'm going to do a remote start. Another thing of beauty of an American V8 muscle car. I'll show you the key there. You see this button here, you got panic. I might do that in a bit, probably just sets the alarm off, but you press this button here twice. I'm going to go near the exhaust. It's not a code start, but you will hear it rumble into life. So we just get down here, and I press my button twice. Let me just wait for that train to pass. No one that in the background. You may not be able to actually hear it because I've got my proper mic on. Well, that's gone now. So here's a remote start from the Challenger RT. I mean, how good does that sound? I have to say, I think this is the nicest sounding V8 I have ever heard. When it comes to just rumbling along at idle, I just think the noise is just on another level of sensational. I think this car sounds beautiful. I really do. And I'm having really bad thoughts that I need this in my life thoughts, which is not good, because I'm supposed to be trying to not buy any cars this year and just stick to a 5-car garage, because 5 cars is too many. Can't drive them all at once, can I? But this car, because I wouldn't want any more power. I wouldn't want a Scat Pack. I wouldn't want a Hellcat. Yeah, they're good for the bragging rights. Oh yeah, I've got a Hellcat. I've got like 700 horsepower. Look at me, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what this car's about, in my view. I think the Challenger's all about a nice, gentle cruise and just enjoying the car. And I think the RT delivers that. I do believe this car does have the performance pack on it, which gets you the sporty wheels. In fact, I can quickly find out if it's got performance pack. If it is a performance pack car, it will have 275 tyres on the front and the back. So actually looking at this, they are 245 on the back. So this isn't a performance pack car. And a 240, yeah, so it's not a performance pack car, this. So that would be why it just lights the back tyres up so easy, because it's actually very under-tired for the kind of car it is. You know, it's only a 245 section tyre in the rear and the front. So yeah, it's under-tired for a V8 with 410 foot-pounds of torque, which is why it spins the tyres up so easily. But I wouldn't change that. I think that's what makes this so much fun, personally. The 345 there on the wing stands for cubic inches, and 345 cubic inches, I believe, is about 5.7 litres. But yeah, I'm going to give you one last walk around, and then we're going to get to the interior of the car, and I'm going to talk about all of the features on the interior. Also, really cool things about these cars. You look here, I believe this. Yeah, this is actually an air intake. So it gets genuine sucked cold air in through the headlight, and obviously then it lights all up around there. Beautiful lights on them. I'm not sure if this is a real functional hood scoop or bonnet scoop. Somebody do please correct me in the comments if the hood scoop is functional or just for display. Also, they believe the other way you are able to tell a Scat Pack car and a Hellcat is they will have additional vents either side for even, obviously, more intake air volume. But yeah, it's a absolutely stunning machine. It's sublime green. It is the colour to get one in. So I'm just going to go around the back again and just let you... In fact, can you just do me a favour whilst it's running? Just jump in and just stomp the throttle. Other side, left-hand drive. Oh, and just a note on that, yeah. Driving a left-hand drive for me in the UK. So there you go. If you remote start the car with the windows down and somebody tries to get in it, it thinks it's been stolen. So it will set the alarm and kill the engine. So I will do it, give you the key. It's going to start. Okay, it's just going to give us some revs. You'll need to press the start button. I mean, hopefully the mic is picking that up, but what an incredible sound. Absolutely incredible. Give it one more. Yeah, sounds beautiful. Right, I will next go to the interior and show you all of the interior features on the car. Though I promised interior next, I thought that I would just show you the actual engine bay. So this car is actually starred on a very, very large YouTube channel, very famous YouTube channel. I do apologise, but I can't remember the name, but I do believe the two guys did sign the car. I think it was something about the road to like buying a like crazy expensive car, and I believe this was one of the cars in that lineup. But yeah, there you got the 5.7 HEMI engine. So in regards to that hood scoop that I was talking about, I don't think it is functional. Obviously, it's functional for cooling this engine, because if I show you there, you can see you've got these inlets here, which I suspect cold air comes in and just cools the whole engine bay. But I do believe on some of the Hemis, and like the Scat Packs, there would not be a lid here, and the like I said, the Scat Packs have vents here, would directly be on top of that airbox. But yeah, there's the engine bay. It actually looks a very easy car to work on. Got plenty of room around everything, which is something you do have to love about American cars, is they are simple in their approach and design. We're just going to go around to the boot. That's another advantage of a Hemi. Well, a Challenger is it's a big car, and the benefit of big car is you have an absolutely humongous boot. I would say you could kidnap at least 2 people. You're getting at least 2 humans in that boot. So if you're in the kidnapping game or whatever, no problems in this car. I'm going to close that. Now, of course, these cars, they do, obviously, they're not light. These things are probably about 2 tons. You know, it's not a light car. We show the interior. The interior is actually a lovely place to be. You've got, like, don't know what we would call this. It's like some form of leather or plastic. But whatever it is, it's actually quite pleasant. And then obviously inside you've got everything. And you've got these seats are amazingly comfortable. You could literally do hundreds, if not thousands of miles in this car in absolute comfort. And you've got a grab here. No, so if you go here, you've also got back seats in the Challenger. Now you can see that passenger seat there, you could carry 4 adults in this car. Now, well, actually you can carry 5 because it has got a bench seat in the back with 3 seat belts. Whether that's going to be comfortable if they're fully grown adults is another thing. Obviously the passenger could pull their seat forward, but I would say I'd be quite happy in the back of there for a short amount of time. So you can carry 4 people in relative comfort, or 5 people if the back seat passengers are relatively small. Oh, the brakes on the car, even though totally standard and you know, not particularly uprated, they work absolutely fine. You know, the brakes are really good on the car. No problems there. Steering is nice, nicely weighted. Everything is just nice about the car. I wouldn't say it's a superstar in any one regard. Well, actually, I would say it's a superstar the way it sounds. The way it sounds is just phenomenal. My favourite sounding V8 at idle and a low cruise, absolutely. I'd give the win to my R8 for top end noise, you know, that ultimate scream. But this car's not about that. You know, this Hemi V8 revs to 6,000 RPM compared to the R8 V8 which revs to 8,250 RPM. But this Hemi V8 has a lot more torque available instantly, which is why it wants to light the tyres up. It's a cruiser, but it's a car that you can cruise in style. No matter where you go, everyone is going to be looking at you. You'll never lose it in a car park. I mean, look at the colour and the size of it. And that's the other problem though. In a British car park, that's not going to fit in many spaces. You really are going to have to double park it to find an end space. And then some people might think that you're a bit of an arsehole because you double parked your car that won't fit in one space, which is a shame that some people think like that, but you know, it is a very large car. So let's get onto the interior and the features. Right, so you're joining me inside the Dodge Challenger now. So obviously you're presented with your rev counter and your speedo. So obviously you've got your rev counter here, speedo there, and then obviously your infotainment screen. The speedo reads to 160 mile an hour. I suspect the top speed is probably around 150-ish. Might even actually do what it says on the clocks. And the car revs to about 6,000. You have quite a few buttons on the steering wheel. So obviously you've got here, obviously radio controls, telephone controls, and cruise control. You've got your lighting controls down here. as you can see, and obviously the fog lights, which is probably to pass UK IVA, is there. You have a handbrake down there, which is a bit like Mercedes style, where you use your foot to apply the handbrake or to release the handbrake. Then you've got here, obviously I will fire the car up shortly so he gets everything. So here in the UK, obviously Sirius FM doesn't work, but you've got AM and FM radio, which works great. The sound system is actually amazing. This car has the Harman Kardon option. There is obviously subwoofers in this car somewhere because the bass is incredible. The actual sound system is really, really impressive. But I always generally find American muscle cars always do have great sound systems in them. And then of course it's probably, yeah, so you can have Bluetooth, USB or auxiliary cable. Then obviously you've got your climate control, which is off because the engine's not running, but you do have heated seats. You also have ventilated seats, and you also have a heated steering wheel, which I did try earlier because it is winter here in the UK, and the heated steering wheel is very impressive. Gets very warm very quick. You do have several apps. You got Nav. I will show you the app shortly, where obviously you can program certain things in. Obviously you can connect your phone. Well, let's not do that. And then you've got settings, but again, we do need the engine to be running. Then you do have some buttons down here. So you got your volume. This is where you put the car in sports mode for better throttle response, and obviously the traction control not being quite as aggressive. You can turn the traction control off. As wouldn't recommend it, but I do think this car comes across to me as quite the pussycat. If you've got somewhat knowledge of what you're doing, that you could probably drift this car for days. It's got such a long wheelbase. It's beautiful. And then if you want to turn that screen off, you just press this button here, and then the screen can't distract you. You want to turn the screen back on, you just press the button again or touch the screen. You got your hazards, and then you've got actual buttons for your heater controls as well, and your front screen. It's all really nice that you can actually access the majority of the stuff that you need in day-to-day driving by just pressing buttons. So this is a 2024 Dodge Challenger, so it's a very, very new one. It's nice that you can still just press buttons. You've got your door lock and mirror controls here. And they're saying you've got the gearbox here. So you've got obviously park, reverse. It does have a reversing camera. You've got neutral, you've got drive. And if you move it to the left, then you put it in manual, where you can use these paddles, which are quite responsive. They're not immediate, but they are not slow. I wouldn't complain about them. But as I said earlier in the video, I wouldn't say this car's really about, trying to drive it like you're on a track day. It's more about cruising. And as such, I would probably just drive this car generally in auto mode. The only word of advice I would give in like conditions like today, if you're driving in auto and you're a bit heavy-footed with the throttle pedal, the car is going to kick down. And on these narrow section, 245 section rear tyres in today's cold, damp, greasy conditions, a kick down and heavy throttle input is going to result in a lot of wheel spin and some sideways action. So I would actually advise in slippery conditions, keep the car in manual mode. Then the car's not going to do anything that you're not expecting. You have complete control of the gears, etc., etc. Car has lots of storage in the cabin. So we have a large glove box, which you're going to get plenty in there. The car has door bins, definitely fit a large bottle of drink in there. Of course, being American, you have 2 cup holders here, some storage next to the gearbox, and you will have to excuse, I don't really want to zoom out the camera because I don't want the lens. So you also have a large storage bin there. You get plenty in there, including that's where you'll find your USB ports, etc., etc. And the whole cabin is just a really nice place to be. I mean, American cars are normally known for being quite cheap inside, and yeah, sure, it's not an Audi, but I'm not missing my R8's interior. The R8 is a better fit and finish, but this car has better infotainment and more features. So now I'm going to start the vehicle, and I'm going to show you some more of the apps. So obviously, foot on the brake, and I'm going to go quiet because I want to let you hear the start up from inside the vehicle. There you go. You get your typical beeps. We don't want to do that. So now if we go into controls, you can see that now all of the features are lit up, and you can also dim your rear mirror from here or not. I believe it's also automatic. So you've got your heated seats. You can put them on just by pressing that button. You can turn your ventilated seats on. I call them ball chillers. Sorry if any ladies are watching, and I can already feel that kicking in. So yeah, the great thing about American cars is you'll never get too hot on one because they have amazing aircon and seat cooling, and you'll never get too cold on one because they always have amazing heaters. So let's go back to there. I think it's wanting to pair with my phone, so apologies if my video stops abruptly. But then you've got a heated steering wheel. Let's turn that off. And you've got a heated wheel, and it's as easy as that. So we'll turn that back off. And you've got your traditional climate control there, where obviously you can tell it where you want the air to go, how powerful you want the fan, etc., etc. I've already shown you media. Then you've got apps. And you can see there is a lot of toys in this car to play with. I mean, performance control. You can actually set your modes up as well, so it always starts default in how you set it, which is great. But as a quick shortcut, if I hit this sport button here, so I'll go back up to there, and you'll probably see them change. There you go. So now we're in sport, and our engine is in sport, our paddle shifters are enabled, and our traction is normal, and our steering is sport. Steering felt really nice on the road, really well weighted. I can't say how much feedback there was because I was only cruising. I was not trying to push the car at all. So I can't really comment on that, but the weighting was very nice. Everything about this car, it's just a lovely thing to drive. If I press the foot on the brake and go to put it in reverse, you'll see that we get a reversing camera on the screen. Resolution's not particularly great, but it serves a function and it does the job. I'm going to put that back into park because I don't want to crash into Bryony's Cayman. There we go. And then we've got other settings. So if I go back into our settings here, excuse me. Controls, where was I now? How do I, apps, my bad. And there are other things there. So obviously you can even turn your passengers' heated seat on, or they can turn their own seat on. And if you've got notifications, assist, SOS, driver, performance control. There's more here. Performance pages. There's like cool stuff. I'm already starting to boil in this car. The heating is that good. So I'm just going to turn the fans down. As also I'm sorry if I've just been talking with the noise of them fans all this time. My apologies. The fans are now off. So easy that you just literally turn the knob at the bottom there, and there you go. So you can measure your 60 foot, your 1/8, your quarter mile, etc., etc. And then you've got gauges. So you've got your oil temp, your oil pressure, your coolant, your battery voltage. You've got a G-force meter. You've got your engine. I mean, if I rev it now, and that is with the windows closed. How amazing does that sound in the cabin? This car sounds so good. I can't explain how amazing this car sounds. It sounds incredible from the outside, even at just tick over, and it sounds incredible from inside the cabin. I would love to do an actual driving video with this car because the way it sounds is off the charts. Beautiful sounding car. And you've got your dyno mode. I believe the way this works, if I rev it, you can see that we're getting a spike in power, etc., etc. And I do believe these timers can also do, somewhere in the car, I think there's actually where you can also measure your 0 to 60 and your 0 to 100 mile an hour as well. So there's a lot of, this car is all about fun. It's a really fun car, and that's what it's all about. The not so fun thing is the fuel gauge does go down. It wasn't a quarter tank when I did my little drive around, it was still under that, but that gauge has definitely moved since I've had a small drive around in the car and obviously had it idling for a few minutes. And then if you press your super track button, that will instantly take you to there where you can change your settings. So if we want to go into traction control, I believe if you press that, it's diverted back to normal. But I guess if we maybe turn off traction control, so now traction control is in sport according to the dash. Yes, traction is now sport mode. So one press of the traction control button puts the traction control in sport. I press again, puts it into normal. And I suspect if I hold this button down, he says, oh, there you go. It takes a long press, but now you're either in hero mode or instant death mode. Traction's totally off. As I said, I would love to actually own this car and then truly experiment with it. It's not my car. I'm not going to drive it on the roads without traction control in either sport mode or off. It's not mine, and it wouldn't be a responsible thing to do. But if I owned it, I would find a big empty car park and I would light those back tyres up and do a lot of donuts and then also experiment with drifting. Because I get an impression from the way it handled just at low speed that this car has a beautiful balance for drifting. I think it will be huge fun. And when I say drifting, more like drifting at less than 30 mile an hour. I think that will be a lot of fun in this car. I'm not saying that this is like a Chris Harris drift machine at 100 mile an hour. It's not that kind of car. But for somebody like me who's not a professional driver, I get the impression that I could have a huge amount of fun in this car, even at low speeds, and get that back end wagging quite a lot in a controllable and fun manner. You see launch control here? This is where you can obviously, there you go, you can turn your RPMs up, but I certainly wouldn't, oh, I've activated it, oops. But I really wouldn't, I would say that you probably don't want to go more than 1500 RPM for launch control. Okay, so I'm trying to activate launch control, that's not a good idea. And then obviously, I guess it's a case of you put your foot on the foot brake and you bury the throttle and it will hold at 1500 RPM, release the brake, and you will do a very big wheel spin, launch control, launch. See if there's any other interesting gaps on here, but I think that's the majority of the fun stuff. And then we're not gonna, obviously, you've seen the media. Everything about this car, this is my first time ever. I've always loved Challengers, and this is my first time in a Challenger, and straight away, I've got to grips with it immediately. Very easy car to understand, very easy car to use, buttons for everything, lots of infotainment, beautiful place to sit. It really is such an incredible car. And I'll show you now the revs. See the rev count there? That's 2000 RPM, ladies and gentlemen. What car sounds better than that? And this is a factory car. I mean, it sounds beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'm going to do one last walk around of the car with the engine running. We are American cars do that. It's just beeping because I've left the key in the. Oh no, I do have the key on me. So we're at Shinsean Automotive today. This car is available for sale here. It's £49,950, so just shy of 50,000. It's a 2024 car. It's only got 1,800 miles on it, so it's essentially brand new. Not much more than, say, a brand new Mini Cooper Works electric. And you're getting a car that probably nowadays, with the way the world is going, probably won't devalue much in money. And that these are very rare sights in the UK. Obviously, this is the colour I would definitely go for. As I say, the temptation to speak to James about doing a deal on this car is actually really big, because I do love my American muscle cars. I had a Celine S197 Mustang. I owned that for 5 years. It taught me about cars because I supercharged it. I fitted coilovers to it. I fitted Shelby brakes to it. I literally pulled that car apart and rebuilt it. Everything I know about cars is really thanks to that Mustang. It really taught me, because these cars are a modder's dream. Any American car is a modder's dream. You know, you can do anything you want. These cars, you can do it. They are amazing to modify. I say, it is a left-hand drive. I don't have a problem with driving a left-hand drive car in the UK personally. My biggest tip I could say for left-hand drive in the UK is just literally hug the curb. If you stay as close to the curb, the hedge, or whatever, then you're generally fine. You might have to be a bit more careful in a left-hand drive car that's this big, because it's a very wide car, this, and a very long car. So there is that to be aware of, but I wouldn't let you put that put you off. It's a beautiful car. The ride comfort is fantastic. The brakes are perfectly adequate. The sound is off the scales, amazing. The performance, I mean, a lot of people will be like, oh, it's a big heavy car, it's got a big V8 and it only makes 375 horsepower. I'm sorry, it's all you need in this car. Don't get me wrong, if you're watching this from America with your massive long straight roads and your drag strips, then I totally understand the needs for a Hellcat and a Demon. You can go drag racing every weekend and those cars will be mentally quick. So I totally get it. But in the UK, here, I think the RT is all you would ever need. I don't really see why you would want more than what the RT offers. It's going to be cheaper to insure. It's going to be better on fuel, even though it's still going to drink loads. I mean, these engines are not stressed anyway, but in theory, it will be bulletproof reliable. It will just do everything. And I mean, look at it. If you want attention, don't buy this car. Everyone looks at it and everybody is giving, I drove it only for 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes earlier, and everybody was giving me a massive thumbs up. People love it. They absolutely love it. As always, I want to thank you for watching the channel. If you've enjoyed watching this video, please do give me a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And even better, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It really helps. And I'm just going to do one last walk around because I think we do definitely need to take in just how beautiful this car is. So if you don't mind fuel bills, but you want something that's got style, sounds incredible, is immensely comfortable, has lots of toys, pop down to Shinsean Automotive and get this car purchased before I get too tempted and end up buying it myself, because it is incredible. But here's a question, guys. If I was to buy this car, it's £50,000. Really, I should sell one of the cars I've got. And those of you who watch the channel will know, I've got a McLaren 600 LT. That's my speed thrills car. If I want something that's truly fast and truly handles amazing, or a track day, I jump in the McLaren. I've got the Audi R8 V8 manual. I would say that's my sports car choice. That's my involving to drive sports car. It feels stupidly fast, but it's not actually that quick, which makes it great for my license because I get my thrills without actually really breaking the speed limits by stupid amounts like you would in a V10 R8. The V8 is very well judged, handles really well, and it's a manual, so it's very interactive. I've obviously got the Cayman R, which is right there, which is a true all-out sports car. That's all about handling, because it is a PDK, which takes some of the interactivity away, but the way that handles, one of the best handling cars ever made, if you ask me. Sensational, the way that feels, but that will be a separate review. Then I've got my old BMW E30. That's never going anywhere because I am so attached to that car. It's a 325i Sport, which I've spent thousands on restoring already, and I've only had it like 7 months. And of course, I've got the old Corvette. And though I love the old Corvette, it's a classic car. It cost me nothing to own because it's more than 40 years old, no road tax, insurance is about £200. But it's not worth a lot. It's probably worth 15 to 20 grand. And I hardly ever drive it because I'm scared to bring it out on roads like this because I don't want it to rust and rot away. Well, I'd say rust, it won't rust because it's fiberglass body, but the steel bird cage underneath the body could rot very quickly with British salty roads. But for me, if I bought this car, that's probably the car that would go because I guess I don't need 2 left-hand drive American cars. But I know if I bought this car, for me, it would probably become the new daily. I would just find myself driving it all the time because it's that kind of car. It's such a beautiful car to drive. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't go for like a B-road hoon in it because look at the size of it. And I also wouldn't want to try to drive it fast in conditions like today because those small section rear tyres just want to light up. But if I wanted to go and do some skids, I'd take this. If I wanted to drive around in style, I'd take this. If I want to go on a B-road blast, I'd take that, the Cayman R. If I want to go on a track day, I'll take the Cayman R or the McLaren. If I want to drive something that does everything as well, so I'll take the R8. But for me, I think if this was in my collection, it would be one of the most special cars in my collection. But anyway, tell me which, first of all, should I buy this RT Challenger? And if I do buy it, which one of my cars would be the most suitable car for me to sell for this to replace? Do let me know in the comments. Let me know what you thought of my video, and anybody who's a Challenger expert, please feel free to comment and educate me some more. I hope that I've got most of my facts right today about this and the Hemi engine, and I really do hope you've enjoyed watching this video. As always, thank you for watching. We're just going to drive it around me a couple of times, so I'm not going to talk, just listen to this. Bear in mind, that won't even be 2,000 RPM in that car. Don't play chicken with a Challenger. It sounds incredible, and that's literally tickling it. I apologise for the wind. Let me see if I can shield you from the wind for one last go. Yeah, sounds amazing. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe. I say it's available from Shinsean Automotive, 49,950, 1,800 miles.